What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I've got another very important AMC update to bring all of you this evening. So what we're going to be covering in this update is a little bit of the technicals on what we're seeing on AMC on some of the longer time frames to give us a better understanding of what we could potentially see going over the next couple of weeks. Now, in addition to this, as always, we're going to be covering a little bit of the Ortex short interest utilization and cost to borrow data on both AMC and GameStop, the options chain, what it's looking like, the max pain going into tomorrow, the last trading day of the week. But there's two really important things that we're kind of seeing develop, and these things have been happening over the last couple of weeks. The first, Ken Griffin has been making a pretty significant move that I think all of you guys should really understand and kind of hear about, and Melvin Capital is having an absolute disaster at their fund. So that is something that we have to talk about as well. They are basically saying, well, we're essentially closing down, and any investors that decide to stay with them after they return the money, they will then manage that money for those clients. But with the performance that Melvin has had over the last 2 years, I don't think a lot of people are going to want to stay with Gabe Plotkin. So before we get into all of that information, if you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provide for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And again, guys, you guys have seen the success that people have been having with the strategy that we've been teaching around those 1348 crosses. You're about to get the proprietary trading algorithm in that Discord as well. We alert on over 400 stocks. There's over 40 private live streams every single month. If you want to get a little bit of a test run, we do give you guys some free access until the end of the month. If you sign up through the Patreon, you won't get charged until the beginning of the month. So if you are interested in that, make sure you check out that link down below. So AMC closed the day today at $16.86, down 2.77%. Honestly, with the way that the market was headed today, the SPY absolutely kind of capitulating throughout the entire day, it held up pretty well. Amy had a pretty terrible day yesterday, so two solid red days back-to-back are not necessarily what you want to see. And again, when we take a look at some of these longer time frames, specifically the 4-hour, AMC's looking like it still has some more room to fall. We needed to start kind of coming up, recapturing some of these EMAs, specifically breaking through this 48 before we can get through this 200 EMA in this kind of yellow color right here. Once we see that, we can see the crossover and potentially another significant run back to the upside. Now, in addition to this, when we come over to some of the Ortex data over here, we have that 100% utilization. We have 2.3% average cost to borrow, 2.73% max, 19.28% estimated short interest right now, and 130.93 million shares on loan. Again, in order to see those cost to borrow numbers really start to step up on AMC above 5, 8, 10%, we're going to need to see those shares on loan go up even higher to create that scarcity element in the securities lending market. When the demand is high for a good and that good is scarce, you're going to see the price of whatever that good is start to go up. Now, in addition to this over here, when we take a look at GameStop, 18.73% estimated short interest, so a lot of shares getting returned today, 333,000 net borrow. We have 75.45% max cost to borrow, which is very, very high, and 7.31% average. Now, when we come over and take a little bit of a brief look at the options chain right here, for AMC, they're glitching out a little bit again here. I believe the calls were outweighing the puts on AMC. Let's see if we refresh this. Yeah, Stonko Tracker is having some glitches over here, but the calls were outweighing the puts at one point today. Most likely with the price action that we saw, it's balancing out a little bit. And when we come over here and take a look at the max pain, the price that the most amount of options that are expiring worthless calls and puts is sitting at $18 a share right now. Now, let's get into this Melvin Capital situation because I think there's a lot of nuances to this developing story that I think a lot of people really need to understand. So when we come over to this article right here, embattled hedge fund Melvin Capital weighs unwinding current fund to start a new one. Now, when you think about what Melvin Capital has been doing over the last 4 months or so, remember, they kind of started closing down the short side of their business where they were coming in and trying to short stocks. And they were like, well, we see a lot of upside opportunity in the market. God knows why. And they started to go long on a lot of positions. and they ended up getting blown out even more. So what they're doing now is very, very interesting. They are struggling significantly. Melvin Capital, the embattled hedge fund run by once high-flying founder Gabe Plotkin. Remember, Ken Griffin likes to call Gabe Plotkin one of the finest investors of his generation, which in my opinion, he could not be more far from the truth, has been discussing a novel plan with its investors under which the firm would return their capital while giving them the right to invest that capital in what would essentially be a new fund run by Plotkin. Plotkin, according to people familiar with his plans, has committed to keeping his new fund at or below $5 billion. I don't think that's really going to be his choice if he's allowing a lot of these investors to pull out their money and returning to a focus on shorting stocks. Gabe Plotkin, you were really good at that before. You're going to try to do it again? He was not very good at it before with those GameStop positions. So when you take a look at this situation right here, the fund that they started under the terms being discussed, Plotkin would unwind his current fund at the end of June. That fund was down 21% at the end of the first quarter. That is absolutely horrendous performance from an institution such as Melvin Capital, who is charging astronomical fees to its clients in order to manage the money. If you were one of these high net worth individuals that is giving a boatload of cash to Melvin Capital, you would be much better off and taking much less significant losses if you just threw your money into the S&P 500, set it and forget it, and that's the end of the story. But no, Melvin Capital thinks that they're smarter than everybody else, and you see the results of that, down 21% at the beginning of, or at the end of the first quarter of 2022. Now, because of all of these developments that have been happening with Melvin Capital, they're basically done for. It's very, very, very hard in this industry to come back and build back somewhat of a halfway decent reputation after you lose your clients almost all of their money. Now, there's also a situation kind of going on right now with Ken Griffin and some interesting moves that he is making that I think a lot of people need to know about. So when we come over to this New York Post article that was posted a few days ago, Citadel's Ken Griffin is GOP's top donor with putting $40 million towards the midterms. Now, if you've watched any of Ken Griffin's interviews in the past, this interview right here is actually with Dave Rubenstein, I believe. And when you take a look at actually why he says that he is kind of giving all of this money to the GOP, he cites education and crime. When Ken Griffin comes out and gives money to a party that is trying to fight crime, and that's the point of those funds, I think we're talking about the wrong situation here, where we should be fighting more financial crime than actual crime, because that is what's really hurting the everyday people in a very, very significant way. So he is citing talent. He's trying to draw more talent into where he's operating right now in Chicago, and he's saying that with the crime rates in Chicago right now, it's going to be very difficult for him to kind of say, hey, let's get all of these very intelligent people to come work for Citadel in Chicago if there's a bunch of crime happening and their employees are at risk. Now, the fact that he is the largest donor right now, he is a very wealthy individual. It's not all that surprising, especially with the amount of pull that this man needs to have in order to essentially maintain his leverage over a lot of individuals in this industry. But this is definitely something that we need to take a look at here. He's donating, let's see what the exact number is, $40 million towards the midterm elections. How much of an influence is the midterm elections really going to have on his day-to-day operations? I don't think very much. So I think there's kind of an ulterior motive over here if he's helping people get elected. Again, that's kind of the way our country works right now. There's nothing really illegal about this, but it definitely is something that you need to keep a lookout for. So that is going to wrap up this update on AMC. If you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. So I hope you guys are having a great evening, and I'll see you guys in the next one.